Okay, I think maybe we can make a start. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this workshop, which is led by NAWA, so the National Agency for Academic Exchange, who are our strategic partners at this Science Polish Perspectives Conference. We are very excited to have you, both NAWA and all the participants, so welcome. I guess I will just pass on the microphone to, we have two moderators or I'll be the moderator, and we have two people presenting the workshop today. We have Ms. Katarzyna Pietruszyńska, who is the coordinator for the Polish Returns Program at NAWA, Powroty, and Ms. Magdalena Kowalczyk, who is overseeing the ULUM program. I will give the mic to you then, if you wanna. So I think that the plan is to have two presentations, and if you have any questions during the presentations, please write your questions in the chat if you want them answered in the meantime. And hopefully we will have a bit of time towards the end to also have a more informal chat, and then I can ask you to unmute yourselves, and we can just have a conversation. Okay, that's it from me.
Okay. Hello, my name is Katarzyna Pietruszyńska. Thank you, Polonium Foundation, for inviting us, and thank you all for joining us for this webinar regarding NAWA grants. In the first part of the workshop, I will provide you with some introductory information about NAWA programs. We have selected two of them that may be the most interesting for you. This is the ULUM program and the Polish Returns program. And in the second part of the meeting, Magda will give you some practical tips on how to prepare a successful application. Please tell me if you can see my slides right now.
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay. Thank you. So I need one moment. I'm not able to move to to the next slide. Oh, okay, here we are. So NAWA is a state agency, and our mission is to boost the potential of Polish science and higher education through international exchange and cooperation. And one of our fields of activity is supporting mobility of individual scientists. And what is important, we understand mobility as a way to improve the scientific excellence of the scientists. It changes very slowly. Show you the next slide. Here we are. You may ask, is Poland a country to consider when you plan your scientific career abroad? The answer is yes. Here on the slide, you can find some reasons for choosing Poland. So, vibrant research environment, increasing contribution to high impact science journals, modern research infrastructure. What is very important, more and more Polish universities and research institutions are awarded by HR Excellence in Research label by the European Commission. As you can see, the choice of research units in Poland is really huge. We have more than 100 30 public higher education institutions. We have 77 institutes of Polish Academy of Sciences, more than 70 research institutes. There is also Łukasiewicz Research Network. So the question is how to choose the best one for you. And here my next slide should appear. Sorry for this. Okay. So it is important to know that all the scientific units are evaluated on a regular basis by the Polish Ministry of Education and Science on a scale from C to A+. So if you see information that a given university is marked with a letter A+ or A, this is a guarantee of quality. You may also search for the label Excellence Initiative Research University. This label was awarded 2 years ago to 10 Polish universities. You can see the list on the screen. And the idea was to select the best research universities that will obtain additional money, additional funding, and will be able to successfully compete with the best academic units in Europe and in the world. Okay, so now let's have a look for NAWA offer regarding mobility programs for scientists. We offer both incoming and outgoing mobility grants. Today we will focus on the ULUM program and the Polish Returns program, but I would like you also to remember and to check later the NAWA Chair program. It will not be announced this year, but next year. This is our program addressed to the best of the best foreign professors who would like to settle down in Poland. There is also a very popular Becker program. This is a scholarship program addressed to Polish scientists who wish to develop their career abroad. It offers research stays in foreign units from 3 months up to 24 months. But now let's concentrate on the ULUM program. The important information is that the call is currently open till mid-June this year. It is also a scholarship program addressed for scientists who want to come to Poland, both promising young scientists and more experienced, recognized scientists. They need to hold at least a PhD degree. The program was addressed only to the foreign scientists, but this year we also decided that the Polish citizens working permanently abroad may apply. They will constitute 10% of the fellows in the call. Scientific visits in the Polish research or academic institutions may last from 6 to 24 months. So you can plan your postdoc fellowship, the first one or the second one, it doesn't matter. You can plan conducting research or obtaining materials for your research or for your scientific publications. The call is open for all fields of science. And the important thing is that the scientist applies individually after arranging his or her visit in the Polish host institution. The scholarship includes a living allowance. This is 10,000 Polish zloty, so something like 2,200 euro per month. There is also one-off mobility allowance. There is also additional funding for family, and also funding if you want to learn Polish language while you work in Poland. What is important, this is a scholarship, not an employment. There are some advantages and some disadvantages as well. The advantage is that it's very flexible, and the whole money listed here goes directly to the scientist. We sign a contract with a scientist, but on the other hand, you have to take care of your social security on your own. Of course, it is also possible that the host institution may employ you, but this is possibility, not an obligation. What is also important, money for research is not included in this grant scheme. So usually the host institution simply joins the fellow to its scientific activities. What are the requirements for the applicants? You have to have your PhD degree. You have to be employed at a foreign higher education institution or research center. It is also possible to apply if you completed your employment contract after the end of August last year, or if you are a young scientist and you obtained your PhD after August last year. There is also obligation not to study and not to work in Poland within 3 years before the deadline of the call. And the applicant has to present minimum 3 scientific achievements listed in the call text, like publications, and the applicant needs to present the invitation from the Polish host institution. The host institution may be any Polish higher education or research institutions, but having a scientific category, this A+, A, it may also be B or C, but it has to be, it has to have a category. But of course, please choose the best academic and research institutions. Here are the contact details. Magda is the coordinator of the ULUM program. And another program that may be interesting for you is Polish Returns or Polskie Powroty. Here we are going to open the call in May. If you are interested, please check our website. Starting from next Friday, all the information will be published on our website. This program is addressed for outstanding Polish scientists who currently work abroad, and the program allows to return to Poland and take up employment in the Polish universities or research institutes. The difference with the ULUM program is that here we have employment and the projects are longer. I will tell you later. Starting from this year, we have two tracks in the Polish Returns program. The first one for junior scientists and the second one for experienced scientists. The program is open for all fields of science as the previous one. And here the scientist applies together with the employing institution. Okay, as far as funding is concerned, in the Polish returns, we have mostly remuneration as eligible costs. Here we have the slide for junior scientists, and the other one will be for experienced scientists. The categories of costs are the same for both groups, but as you will be able to see, the numbers are different. So in the track junior scientist, project may last from 2 years to 3 years. There is a project group supporting the returning scientists, and the NAWA funding includes remuneration for the returning scientist, for the inviting person, for the project group members. Also, we have dedicated money allowing adaptation of the workplace. So buying computers, small, but only small research equipment, not infrastructure, not big infrastructure, but small equipment. And there is one-off mobility allowance for the cost of moving to Poland. What is important, thanks to our cooperation with the National Science Center, we also offer a starting grant for research. Generally, NAWA funds mobility, and other Polish agencies like National Science Center and National Center for Research and Development fund research. Here in the Polish Returns Program, we offer also a starting grant, but it is important only for basic research. That may be used in the first 18 months of the Polish Returns Program. So as I said before, for the experienced scientists, the same costs are eligible, but the remuneration is higher both for the returning scientists and also for the project group members. Here, returning scientist independently leads the project group. What are the requirements for the applicants? He or she is supposed to have Polish citizenship, doctoral degree, for juniors obtained not earlier than 7 years before submitting the application. He or she should work abroad as a scientist for the required period stipulated in the call. It's different from junior and for experienced scientists. And for this time, it is not possible to live nor work in Poland. And the candidate should demonstrate scientific achievements that are internationally recognized and stand out in the context of a discipline and career stage. And also for the experienced scientist, there is one more condition. He or she should be PI in at least one research project selected in a national or international competition during his scientific work abroad. And this is my contact. We have this webinar is quite short, so we cannot go into details, but please check the regulations, the call regulations on our website. If any questions crop up later, please do not hesitate to contact us after this webinar. And if you have some burning questions, some important questions now, you can write them on the chat and we will answer the questions after the presentations. Thank you, and now Magda will take over the presentation.
Let me share my screen. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
And now?
Yes. No questions on the chat so far.
Okay. Okay, let me check. I can. Okay, and back. Okay, hello. I have 21 slides. How we evaluate submitted applications, the most common problems and mistakes. Will be a little bit about evaluation process, evaluator, merit-based criteria, stages of this process, but also some main weaknesses of application, which we can see during the formal evaluation, and also in essential sections of the proposal. And finally, we have some general recommendation how to prepare good proposal. And remember, this presentation is mainly based on evaluation of ULUM, but you should know that this evaluation process is very, very similar for many funding agencies. So formal evaluation is carried out by NAWA officers. We check all sections and decide whether proposals are eligible or not. And of course, ineligible proposals are not proceeded further. In merit-based evaluation, we have usually pre-selection stage because we have too many applications to proceed all of them through the full process. In next step, we send the application to 2 or 3 reviewers, depends on the program. At the end is final evaluation panel and decisions. All our evaluators are experienced foreign or Polish scientists. Usually they are grant winners. So this is important because how could anyone judge review projects when he cannot write it by himself well? They are anonymous. This is a classic rule in the peer review process. They cannot have conflict of interest. I think that everyone understands this. And how we define the conflict of interest. Applicant supervisor in the program. That means that person applying in the program or being a supervisor of another applicant cannot evaluate anything in this given call. Employee of the host institution. So even that someone is not involved in the project, but he or she may wish to do something good for home institution, so it's also conflict. This person can be in expert team, but cannot evaluate this specific proposal. Another conflict is cooperation with hosting team, joint publication, and involvement in the preparation of application. I think it's obvious. But we can also find some kind of scientific competition as a conflict, because sometimes reviewer says that he works exactly on the same topic, so it's just unethical to evaluate this. Team experts are appointed usually for 2 or 3 years. They are responsible for proposals evaluation, but also for reports evaluation from the same proposals, from the same calls. We engage people who are specialists in a wide range of panel topics. And the number of specialists in team should be proportional to the number of applications in this specific field. External reviewers, they are specialists in subject of this specific application, this evaluated topic. They are appointed usually to review a specific one or more application in a given edition only. We have always 2 main criteria: scientific achievements of the applicant and scientific value of the proposed project. Other criteria depend on the call, whether it's a program for people coming to Polish institution or people going from Poland to foreign institution. So it can be impact of participation in the program on the applicant's career, impact on discipline represented by the candidate, but also impact on host institution. Okay, scientific achievements of the applicant. What is important? Current career development. It's great that someone was very good in high school, but experts are interested only in actual achievements. They are interested how much someone is independent, that applicant was responsible for any project, for some group. Is the presented output related to the subject of the project? It does not have to be related. But if you've been working on a different topic so far, prove that you can handle the new one, that you are already trained in new techniques, that you have some help, or maybe the supervisor, your new supervisor has this knowledge. Do not give all papers conferences in the applications. If we ask about 5, give us 5 publications, the best from the best. Some people think that this is necessary to show as many achievements as possible. The numbers matters, yeah. And they give, for example, 300 publication titles, and it's crazy to read this. So don't do it. This is annoying, and give the newest, the best, and as much as written in the regulation. To highlight that these are not your only publications, that you have more, you can write, these 10 publications are selected from my 300, for example. But think also about other things to present, like international cooperation, ongoing projects, anything you can present to surprise experts. Scientific value of the proposed activities. Sometimes, like in our programs, achievements are needed to pass formal assessment, but the proposed research is the most important, really. You need to convince the experts that your research is worth the money out of their pocket. Why? Because sometimes at the meeting, they use this argument. Yes, it's a generally very good research, but I wouldn't give my money for it. So answer the questions. Are the planet tasks are ambitious? Are they feasible? Whether the methods and techniques are optimal to achieve these goals? Is the project well planned? Will the obtained results bring measurable results, which will be interesting for other scientists? So this is very important. Next criterion, impact of participation depending on the type of program. We can distinguish different criteria. Impact on career. So how does the applicant intend to use the new contact network and develop of his/her academic career? Is there any added value in comparison to the aerial activities? And next, impact on discipline. Will be the project result innovative? How widely results will be visible in discipline by other specialists? This criterion is connected with value of project with the previous criterion, but sometimes it's together, sometimes it can be separate. And in our case, in NAWA case, very important is impact on institution. So how will fellows, ULUM beneficiary visit affect the development of Polish host institution in case of ULUM, but also Polish returns. So here you can see in our program for scientists, usually we have 3 stages of merit-based evaluation. This is what it looks here. We have in ULUM program. So pre-selection is based only on applicants' achievement and scientific or academic activities. After first meeting, evaluation team recommends the proposals for the second stage, where 4 criteria are evaluated by 2 external reviewers. At the end, evaluation team takes into account the opinions of 2 reviewers and assess also other criteria of evaluation which were not evaluated during the preselection. And finally, experts prepare the ranking list with proposals recommended for funding. Preselection. So as I mentioned, the evaluation is based on the selected criteria. Experts also verify the requirements described in regulation, which NAWA officers like me cannot check this, they cannot. The team of experts creates a list of applications qualified for the next stage of evaluation, and total amount of selected proposals should be exceeded twice the amount of funding planned for this call. This is the rule in ULUM program. So for example, if we have 10 millions and this is enough for 20 proposals, we can send about 40 proposals to the next stage. In another program, it can depend on total number of applications and available funding. Second stage, we have evaluation by external reviewers who are not members of expert teams. They are much closer to the topic of proposal. In case of too much difference in opinions and scores, we can appoint also additional reviewers. Final evaluation. Stage. During this stage, experts present external opinions, discuss differences, and compare projects with each other. Experts may have a different opinion from external reviewers, especially if there are some questions or doubts about some opinion. The final scores of individual evaluation criteria may be changed during this team discussion. And team of experts approves the decisions and creates the ranking list of applications qualified for funding. And remember, we can't give money for all good proposals because we don't have that much money. So very often you can read reviews that the application is very good and you are disappointed that you didn't get funding. But if we have money for 50 applications and we have 70 which are good, that means that these 20 don't get funding just because the top 50 were a little better. Main principles of evaluation. All formally correct applications are subject to analysis and discussion by experts. They analyze and compare the application level, scientific level, to other evaluated applications in the same competition. So the final decision is based on comparison. In the case of negative decision after preselection or the final evaluation, the applicant receives a justification and comments. In case of limited resources for very high scored projects, the team may create a reserve list. In last ULUM, for example, all the persons on the reserve list received funding because we had several resignations, because pandemic or other offers. On the other hand, because only research projects of a high standards should receive funding, therefore the experts are not obliged to use all available funds. You should know about this. So now about some sources of failures. To submit an application, you need to register in the system, fill in the proper type of application, and send by system the complete application with the necessary attachments before the deadline. So it seems so simple, but the reasons for formal rejection are very often, and sometimes they are very stupid. The most common reasons for negative formal assessment is trying to submit the application after the deadline, lack of some required data sections, and of course, failure to meet the specific conditions for applicant, which we have in our regulations. So our general technical recommendations are: because proposals are submitted in electronic form only, register in the NAWA system aerial many days before deadline. Submit the application aerial, not 5 minutes before the time expires. The system can be just overloaded with hundreds of people just submitted the application at the same moment. Please verify the attached file, PDF files with regards to the requirements of the call, the scope information, language, and dates. Name the attachments properly, especially if you include several files in one application. It's very good for you that you don't attach the same file 3 times, for example. Check if the file is readable. File resolution is sufficient. In the system, you can attach a file with maximum size of 2 megabytes in our all calls. So sometimes when you reduce the size, strange things happen. Carefully check the requirements for the applicants. I think this is very obvious. Now a few words about essential sections of the application. So the first is applicant's achievements, where you should include education with dates of receiving academic degrees and titles, history of scientific work, number of citations, but also any breaks in career if you have, like, child and working in company, everything is important. Also some patents and awards. When we say a list of the best achievements and publication, you should show the best achievements you have in the required period that meet our criteria described in regulation. And they should be at least accepted for publishing. And never under review or planned. Really, experts hate these situations. In case of research projects, you should include the dates, your role in the project, but also in case of similar projects, it's good to show some explanation that there is no double funding. Title, keywords, and abstract. They should be very informative because we use them to search for specialists in the topic to review your proposal, and also to attract reviewers. And sometimes we needed to send the invitation to review. For example, abstract, to inform reviewer the topic. Popular science summary. It's not in all programs, it's not required, but if you write this, it should be understandable to everyone, and it should be in dissemination ready form. Scientific goals and hypotheses. This is very important. It should be formulated clearly and precisely in 2-3 sentences. Sometimes during discussion, the expert asks, okay, so but tell me, what is the hypothesis of this proposal? and someone replies, you know, I have read everything 3 times, but I still don't know what is the research goal or hypothesis. So it should be very easy to find in the text of application. Work schedule and milestones. It should be bulleted description of the planned research tasks, characterizing the subsequent stages of project implementation. It cannot be participation in conference, preparation of publications, or reading literature, translation, and other. Description of the research and planned activities. It should be transparent, understandable to researchers in related fields, like, for example, our experts, team experts, but also it should be comprehensive for specialists in your field, for external reviewers, specialists. In our programs, we don't have money for research, and direct costs like materials, conferences, and publication fees have to be covered by institution or by national science centers like we have in Polish returns. And now recommendation, what you must do it. Read all terms and conditions of the program carefully and early. Only current documentation, not from last year. Maybe you need some translations and documents issued by others or by some institution. Present information in a clear and orderly manner. Do not hide anything or show in a better light. Discuss the project weaknesses and threats. Explain what we'll do if something goes wrong. Provide all relevant information for a proper assessment. Do not refer to information outside the system on the internet. Most experts look for information outside of the system, but not all of them, and some experts may read your proposal being offline. So before submission, read what you have written. Sometimes it's crazy, but we can find in application, to do, write it later, or XXX, something like this. Include information relevant to the program requirements and individual evaluation criteria. So when your application is completely ready, check the evaluation criteria and check and see if you can find one or more sentences or acapits that exactly match this criterion. If you are using Google Translator, always check every word. Google can be very inventive and create new funny words. So I don't say don't use it, but use it carefully. And recommendation, what you can do. Ask your colleague, your spouse, your boss to review, read, and conclude your application. If something is important and it's obvious for you, write about it. Not everyone must know it's obvious. And don't believe that expert will guess what you mean. It's also a good idea to show the final PDF file of the application to your host institution, to your supervisor, because they can check, for example, the name of institution is correct, because it's a little strange, but in our database we have only Polish names of institutions, so sometimes it can be very difficult to find correct one. And send the application day before. If the system goes down, you still have extra day to send it. And if you find mistake after sending, you have another day to send a second application. And finally, treat your experts well, give them something pleasant to read, and ask us questions if you have any question and doubts. So I hope that this recommendation can be useful for you and maybe happy for you. And good luck. Thank you. So let me check one.
Thank you very much. That was really, really interesting, both presentations, and I hope super useful for the potential applicants. We have run a bit over time, but we have also started a few minutes later. So in case people are happy to stick around, I was wondering if there are any questions that people would prefer to ask in person. We can open the space for discussion.
So I understand that all questions in chat, Kasia already answered.
Yes, I have already answered all the questions. Please remember, if any questions appear later after our meeting, you can always email us using the contact details in the presentation. We will be happy to help you with your questions and applications.
That's really great. Thank you. I imagine so much has already been covered in the presentations that maybe people will have more specific questions about their personal circumstances or their specific situations. So that's really great to know. Okay. In that case.
We are waiting for your emails.
Yes, we hope we were able to provide you with some interesting material to digest right now. And yes, please check the call regulations on the website. ULUM is already announced and the Polish returns will be announced very soon.
So maybe I can use this occasion to add that we will have, just like we had a webinar about the ULUM program, we will also have a Polonium and NAWA webinar about the Polish returns program very soon. I believe it's not confirmed yet, but I can tell you it's planned on the 26th of May. So watch this space. It will be promoted on our social media and through our newsletter as well, and through NAWA channels, I'm sure. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you very much for sharing your time and presenting all the programs and information.
Thank you.
Thank you.